Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Veda Yoga in Culver City, California. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast. I'm your host, Raghunath, with co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kastubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody. It's Q&A day. We are live with a big group from Culver City. Say, Harry Bo. Okay, we have very good mics. They can't pick up any of that, but there was a huge amount of people that just said Harry Bo, yes. And we're at the new Veda Yoga, which is not in Culver City. We're in, what's this called? This is Beverly Wood. It's sort of like, it's not quite Beverly Hills, but it's not Hollywood. You need to give it some sexy name to help real estate prices. How about Beverly Wood? Let's mix them. So anyway, we're here with Kumi, who's just an empowered young lady we love having her in our life, and she has such a great community here. And we're doing our Wisdom of the Sages weekend. It's a big weekend because tomorrow is the Maha Mahotsava, the grand festival for the Jagannath Rath Yatra. It's a big cart festival, and it's one of the biggest, most ancient festivals in India that takes place in Odisha, India, which is on the east coast. It's one of the 4 holy places of India, considered by every Hindu. And so they replicate that festival in, of all places, Santa Monica and Venice Beach, where there's 3 gigantic... We're laughing because if you've been in Venice Beach, you know, like, that's a holy place. That guy roller skating with the bikini bottom is yes, he's a holy figure if he goes to that holy place to see Lord Jagannath. So anyway, we're excited for the festival tomorrow. And today's Q&A day, where we ask a bunch of the people that are live with us to come up, ask a question. We try our best to give an answer. Kastubha is chock full of wisdom. You get a beautiful class yesterday, Kastubha.
How kind of you to say.
I wasn't being kind. I was just being honest. I wasn't going out of my way to be nice.
That's another kind thing to say.
I guess that was kind. I guess that was sort of kind. And we're here with Miss Mara, who's spinning the dials, just getting over her wonderful, ecstatic Maha Mahotsava birthday celebration herself. Hi, Miss Mara.
Hi.
How are you?
Great, thanks.
You have announcements for us, please, before we dive into this? Where did this come from? I got a smoothie.
We have Back to Recovery group meetings today at 9. I guess that one would have passed. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's no show tomorrow because we've got Rath Yatra Festival, and we're going to be back at 9 a.m. on Monday through Thursday next week, 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hold it. Are we going to do sort of like live from the Rath Yatra? That would be sort of cool. You know what we should do? Check our Instagram feed tomorrow. Instagram will be in the parade, Kastubha dancing like a madman. Me and him holding each other, swinging around each other in ecstasy. We'll do live. We'll do a live. What do you call it? An Instagram live feed. How about that tomorrow? That's a good idea. Okay. All right. So, any other announcements? We have our India pilgrimage coming up in October. If you're interested in that, going to all the holy places, including Jagannath Puri, including Vrindavan, including Rishikesh and Haridwar. You can meet us. Well, first go to the website, raghunath.yoga. Sign up there or look for more info there. And, we'll take you around to all our favorite holy places. All right. Who's first, Mr. Kastubha?
Mara will answer that question.
All right. Miss Mara.
We have Emily.
Emily's here. Come on down. Oh, it's Emily. Hi, Emily. Yeah, come right between us, Emily. Oh, sorry. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Now, here's the trick, Emily. There's one of these. We're very professional here at Wisdom of the Sages, as you can tell, with our computer set up on yoga blocks. But this microphone, you have to put your mouth like right on it for it to pick up, okay?
Excellent.
You just did it wrong. Okay. It's excellent.
Excellent.
There we go. So, what's your story? How are you? How did you get here in this yoga thing? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Hi. Moved around a bunch and had material things in my life that were not serving me and felt a little lost in this world. Through walking into Veda, I had already had the seed of yoga in me, but Veda really watered the seed. Thank you, thank you. Veda really watered. Exactly, exactly,
Fertilized.
exactly. So super blessed for that experience, and super blessed to know Kumi and be with this yoga training group. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
That's beautiful.
Listen to the podcast at all?
I do, but it's because of Kumi.
Just checking. Just checking.
All right. And you're living in California. Okay,
Yes,
great.
yes.
So, what is your question?
So the other day, so in teacher training, we've been talking about the Bhagavad Gita, and it mentions a lot, Krishna, Lord Krishna. And I was talking with another friend the other day, and we were talking about Vishnu, and I just wasn't sure how Vishnu correlated in with Krishna.
Good question.
Excellent question.
Excellent question. Coach Stu, why don't you run with this?
Okay. Emily? Yes. Should Emily stay here or should Emily go back? How would you be more comfortable?
Whatever you
Okay.
give her.
But I'm talking to you. I'm going to be looking this way.
Okay,
All right.
I'm gonna look at you like I'm
Yeah. So, no, that's a really good question. And we can go back to some of the things we were talking about last night, like Krishna being the god of love. This is what we have to, we have been fed different ideas about God as we're growing up. The idea of Krishna, we may not have been fed that one, but it's a very special, unique one. And when they call Krishna the god of love, like people do that casually. Again, I don't know if that's done anywhere like in the Shastra, in the ancient scriptures or anything like that, but people say that. But in one sense, it does make sense that Krishna, the only thing that interests him is engaging in adventures of love. That's what he does, and he doesn't do anything else. That's like, that's all he does. So he's doing that in the spiritual realm. He's doing that in the highest pinnacle place where the most intimate adventures of spiritual love are going on. And there you see him as Krishna with two arms. And some people love him with like parental love. And so to them, he appears as like sweet little Krishna. And some people see him like, they love him like a friend. And, like his friends, the cowherd boys, they're running around with him. And the gopis love him with like the like romantic love. And that's the kind of love that excites him and interests him. And even, it even controls him. Like, which is like, this is the kind of thing that the sages meditate on. They're saying, whoa, he's the most powerful, the very source of power. And yet, this kind of love, this intimate kind of love, overpowers him. How can that be? And love requires that one become kind of vulnerable. And in love, one wants to feel overpowered. And so that's how he relishes. That's what he relishes in life. And only that. But some misguided souls, like ourselves, are playing around in this virtual reality of this world, the material world. And it needs to be managed. There's a whole system that needs to be in place. There's got to be karma, the law of karma. Someone's got to run that whole show. And there's got to be the cycles of creation and destruction. This is like the workings of time. You can consider like the law of karma and time to be like, if this world is a virtual reality, these are programs that have been downloaded and installed into the virtual reality. Because otherwise we could get quite comfortable here, but we're actually meant to get messages that are telling us this is not our home. This is a virtual reality. And time really helps with that, because whatever we get, like we desire something and then we finally got it and then we lose it. And that's the force of time downloaded, into this world. And the law of karma is there. It's kind of like a cosmic sensitivity training that's meant to help us act more according to our true nature, which is compassionate and kind and thoughtful and sensitive and so on. So the law of karma is meant to train one, reward behavior that's harmonious with our true nature, and give us a bit of a pinch when we're going the other way. It's Lord Vishnu that manages the whole material world. It's in other words, it's like, say you wanted, you had your own life, pleasant life at home, but there was other business that needed to get done, and rather than have to go and do it yourself, you could just expand, and another Emily could come out of you with 4 arms, and that Emily would go and take care of business, and you would remain doing what you want to do. So you're there, and your awareness is there, but meanwhile you just stay absorbed in what you want to do. Sometimes the analogy is given that Krishna is like, well, you can say it this way, that Vishnu is like a judge, right? Like if you go into the courtroom, how do you relate to the judge? With respect, right? Everybody in that courtroom, what do they call the judge?
Your Honor.
Yes, everybody calls him Your Honor, right? And Krishna is like that same judge, same person, but when he's at home, he's in a different mood, and it's a different atmosphere. Like his wife doesn't call him Your Honor. What does she call him?
Baby.
Okay. Baby. Hey, baby.
And that would be completely inappropriate if you're fighting a traffic ticket and said, listen, baby. Because that person has a different relationship with the judge.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if his wife, when he comes in the door, is, hey, baby, welcome home. But when she goes into the courtroom, she doesn't call him baby in the courtroom, right? She calls him Your Honor. Yeah. She doesn't even call him by his first name. It's so Vishnu is like the God that is taking care of business and that you relate to with reverence. And Krishna is like that same person, but at home, where you relate like when the judge comes home, the little kids come running up and they say, we want to play, get down. And then he's down on all 4s and they're climbing on top of him and he's like being like their little horse and the little kids are saying, go there. It's like there's no respect. But this is what he relishes more, right? So that's Krishna. Krishna is the supreme that you can love with intimacy. Vishnu is him in another mood, taking care of other types of business. And we can go more and more into Vishnu and how he manifests on different levels and stuff. It's really fascinating stuff. But I think that hopefully gets you started. Maybe Raghunath could add something to that.
That was a pretty thorough definition, but I just want to say, in our reaching out to God or our reaching out to our higher power, we might have this feeling where I want God as the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the protector. And for that, he manifests in Lord Vishnu, in Lord Ram. But some people want a more intimate relationship. God is my lover. This is like really, this Krishna bhakti, it's bhakti, but very, very intimate. Krishna is my lover. Krishna is my friend. And it's not like one of them is wrong or right. It's the heart develops a proclivity towards a type of worship down the road on our spiritual journey, and according to who your teachers are that are putting that type of bhakti in your heart. So it's not like it's wrong. When the judge comes and steps into the courthouse and they go, all rise, that's very normal. And there's people who want to see the judge like that or the general like that. They want that respect. It's not inappropriate. And the same thing goes to me, that good analogy. The judge comes home and the little children want to play on his back and he becomes a horse. It would be completely inappropriate if Kostuba came up to me and said, will you be a horse so I can play on your back? Not cool. Yeah, completely inappropriate, Kostuba. Because we have a different relationship. So after a while on our spiritual journey, we start to cultivate a certain relationship with our source. And it can manifest in one of reverence, in one of complete intimacy. And so in what we know as this Vedic understanding of truth, it's going to go into every detail because it's the absolute truth. It gives you so much information. I mean, we can just say easy, just love God. Okay, that's cool. But if you want to go deeper into that, there's answers there. There's not a holy book in India. There's canons, encyclopedias of holy books. And it goes into great detail. There's ways to tell time, right? Right. And then there's also ways to tell time, but also understand how a watch works, how to take the whole thing apart. The Vedic teachings are like that. It's like an unabridged understanding of spiritual truth. So yeah, you're gonna have to ask some questions. It's not gonna be easy. It's just go out there and love God. You're doing good. You know what I mean? It's like it'll go there. Thank you for those really.
Maybe go a little bit more about Vishnu.
Wanna go?
Yeah. Okay. It's a fact. We could go on and on and on, like all day, on this topic, and it's something that Raghunath and I have both been practicing this for about 37 years. And two things. One thing is you're always learning new things, which are fascinating. And the other thing is the things that you've heard many, many, many times, you begin to understand them more deeply than ever before. And that's maybe even more exciting. But when we talk about Vishnu, you know, if we picture Krishna in the spiritual realm and in the place they call it Goloka, that's where that intimate love is being shared. And then there's many levels in the spiritual world where he's related to in different ways, including as Vishnu. They call him their Narayana, but same four-armed. But in the material realm, within that unlimited spiritual sky, they say there's like a bubble in a sense. And that's the material world. And this is the far out stuff that requires some faith, to say. But it's said that there's like water in that bubble, and Lord Vishnu is lying in that water. And from his breath, as he breathes, that unlimited universes are coming out of his body, like innumerable. You couldn't possibly count them. And one breath is the universe goes out, and on the inhale it comes back in. So his time scale is a very, it not only is the size of his body, but his time scale is just like inconceivably long. And so he's breathing out unlimited universes, and then he enters again as the next level of Vishnu. He enters into each one of those universes, and that's half full of water. He's lying on top of that, and from his body grows a lotus. And on that lotus is born Lord Brahma. And you've heard of Brahma?
Yes.
4 heads?
Yes.
And he becomes the creator of the universe in the sense that he takes all the ingredients and he designs all the species of life and all the planets and all of this on behalf of Vishnu. And then he creates all the different bodies of all the different species. And then he said the third level of Vishnu enters into the heart of every living being. Right? So that there's not one of us that doesn't have him in our heart. And if we look, just like a body has a soul inside, right? And it's the soul that spreads its consciousness throughout the entire body. So the body is dead without the soul. The soul makes it come alive. They say this universe is like the body of this second Vishnu, right? That he's, in each universe, there's the soul of the universe that spreads its consciousness throughout the entire universe. That's Lord Vishnu, the second Lord Vishnu. And so there's a Lord of the entire universe, and then every one of us has the Lord of the universe inside us, right next to us, in the heart. So this is what the yogis meditate on. And when the yogis would do Ashtanga yoga, when they would do this very deep yoga where it's all about going into the state of samadhi, the state of trance, mostly they were doing it to try to find this Vishnu within the heart. But it's something that the Bhagavad Gita says that when you become aware of Vishnu in the heart like that, that your mind never becomes degraded. Just like if you're standing next to someone that you deeply respect and you have reverence for, your behavior kind of goes up, right? It's saying that when you feel that Vishnu in your own heart, you're like that all. And what to speak of when you recognize that Vishnu in the heart of every other living being, the respect that you show to all life. This is what the real sages are like, the deeply spiritual people. This idea of Vishnu in the heart of me, Vishnu in the heart of everyone else, they're really attuned to that. And it's making them, it's inspiring them to behave on the level of what we would call like a sadhu or a saint. It's in yoga, we should be searching for this. We should be trying to feel this. We should be meditating on this. And we should be opening up that conversation. You're here inside me. Please reveal yourself to me. Please allow me to feel your presence at all time. So a devotee of Krishna also is feeling that in their heart too. meditating on God in the heart all the time. And it's really a fundamental part of taking yoga to that deeper place where we really become different people, or you could say where we really become ourselves, like the real self underneath.
Thank you so much for that. That was very detailed, but I very, very much appreciated that explanation.
We appreciated your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sometimes when great question. Woo! I was gonna say sometimes when you start explaining how you did, I was like, when you explain this to someone, it's like this sounds too crazy, too much like a fantasy. I always put the real skeptic's brain in because I'm a New Yorker and I don't believe anything. And so, but if you understand just in this room right now, you could say, well, we're in Los Angeles. Okay, well, what does Los Angeles look like? It looks like this room. It's got mirrors on the wall. It's got, brown walls. It's got these sound reflectors. It's got hot yoga, heaters up in the corner. It's got black shelves. That's Los Angeles. And it's true. But we can't understand Los Angeles outside of this room when you're living in a room. So what the Vedas do, they give a key outside of your little tiny reference point. We have a tiny little vantage point of reality. It's not like the Hollywood sign is not a reality. It's a reality. It's not even that far from us. But if all we know is this room, then we can never understand it. What to speak of the hills or the reservoir or the whatever LA is famous for, the beaches or the Santa Monica Mountains or the Venice canals. We'll never know any of those things if we just live in this room. With this machine that we have, this human body, we have very limited scope of reality. We have a tiny subjective view of reality. We don't have objective reality, right?
I got to share something now that you please. So when Srila Prabhupada first brought the teachings of Krishna Bhakti to America, he started in New York City. And then he flew out. This was This was '67. Then he flew out to San Francisco and he started a center there. And these are just storefronts. But the first real temple, like a real building, was actually on La Cienega Boulevard. Correct? That's where we are now. Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's on La Cienega Boulevard. Yeah, and that was like a.
The sacred Firestone building.
Oh, what did they put something else there now?
Firestone tires.
Oh, okay. It's same building or get out. We got to go see it.
Let's go. If they see a couple people bowing down to the radial
So
tires.
my favorite tires.
Officer, there's a man bowing down to the snow tire rack here.
Okay, so that building was the first Hare Krishna temple in the Western world. And it was kind of the first one that wasn't a storefront, so kind of like they had management and everything. There was a president of the temple and a vice president and a treasurer, and Srila Prabhupada was kind of just establishing how things would work out of that temple, a block from here or whatever. And my guru was there, and he was the treasurer, I think, at that time. He was brand new to all of this, but he was like really sharp and together person. He was destined to become an important leader. And one day he went into Srila Prabhupada's room and he started saying, I think he had a very powerful, some might say pushy, kind of like a way. Yeah, my guru. And so I think sometimes people are going back to Prabhupada and saying, he's telling us this, and he's telling us to do that. And he went in and he said, I'm trying to do this, but this person's not cooperating. And I'm trying to do that, but this person is so hard to deal with. And this one's complaining about that. And he's like just going down his list of complaints. And Srila Prabhupada said this. He said, actually, it was a painting. There was the original painting of the cover of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam was hanging on the wall. And
all the little universes and all the little planets, right?
Yeah, it shows exactly what we're talking about. It shows that Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna is relishing intimate love. And then it shows the different other planets where Narayana lives in the spiritual realm. And then it shows that bubble, which is the material realm. And then it shows Lord Vishnu breathing out all the universes. And then it shows inside the universe, he's lying down and the lotus is, and it shows all of that. And so he's showing that painting to my guru, his name was Tamal Krishna Goswami. He was Tamal Krishna then. And he began to describe all of that, how this material world, we can't measure it. It's, the spiritual sky is infinite. And within that, there's a bubble of the material realm, and there's no measuring that. It's beyond any number that we have to measure, any unit that we have to measure it. And Lord Vishnu's, his body is breathing out unlimited universes. We can't measure one universe. And he's breathing out unlimited universes. And in those universes, there are unlimited planets. And he's saying there's life on all of them. Right? This is the Vedic. We may not be able to see it, but the idea is there's life is everywhere. And he's saying, and amongst those unlimited planets in this one universe, it's said like each universe is just like a mustard seed inside a huge bag. It's like, and he said, and inside this universe, this one universe that we're in, there's unlimited planets. We don't know how many planets there are. And he said, and one of those planets is called Earth. And he said, and on that Earth, there's so many countries with so many cities. And on that Earth, there's one place called the United States, and in the United States, there's a city called Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, there's millions of people and millions of buildings and so many. And on one building, on La Cienega Boulevard, there's one Tamal Krishna. And he is thinking he is very important. So, it shows this principle, what we call on the podcast, we call zooming out. That we consider the circumstances in our life to be overwhelming. One person says one thing that we interpret correctly or incorrectly as like insulting to us or disrespectful, and our mind will go through loops on this forever. We'll get so disturbed. This is so insignificant. Right? What's going on in this world, in one sense, it's all very tiny and insignificant. In the scale of time, it's a blip. In the scale of space, it's a little speck. And the yogi has to kind of embrace that. We have two eyes. One eye is kind of in the here and now, and one eye is that zoomed out perspective. And when we have the two together, we'll get the messages. We'll see the truth that we need to see. And so with that, feeling Vishnu in your heart all the time, you're like, the massive, unlimited Lord of the universe is right here inside me all the time. And feeling that presence is maybe, one of the most transformational aspects of our own progress in Bhakti Yoga.
I love that. I love the two-eyed approach, because everyone oftentimes has that one eye of material, like I'm a parent. Where are my kids? Are my kids okay? Right? And you can't just open the other eye, the spiritual eye, and say, okay, kids, you're on your own now. We're not even of this world. It's all a blip.
Your life is insignificant.
Everything is insignificant. I'm not going to even know you in a few million years. We can't be like that. We have to have both eyes open, our spiritual eye and our material eye, and they work together so nicely.
They say they call these posters what is it? Stereograms.
Stereograms. Oh, those ones you look at and they pop?
Yeah,
those?
you have to look at them. It takes two. If you only have one eye, you'll never see the image arise out of it.
I didn't know that was a two-eye thing.
That's why they call it a stereogram. It requires two.
Okay.
And so, but when you look at it with both eyes, then the image arises. The message that you're supposed to get comes out. And so similarly for us, we have both these eyes, right? Bhagavad Gita is asking Arjuna to be active in the world now. Take up responsibility, right? Be a warrior and do your duty. And at the same time, Krishna is telling him to zoom out and understand, that this is just one planet in a universe that's that's a world of suffering, and there's a whole spiritual realm beyond this, et cetera, that nobody here is going to die. Even though they die, they don't die. So he's asking him to see with both eyes.
All right, who do we have next on our on the show here? Balaram Shakti, come on down. Balaram Shakti, I just met yesterday. He's a pretty good singer, too. Come on, sit right here, Balaram. Okay. Balaram Shakti, what's your story?
Hare Krishna.
How did you get into Bhakti? Where are you from? How did you get here? What's your story?
Okay. So I got into Bhakti.
Yeah, I think it does a podcast.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Quick plug. Soul Ashraya podcast.
What's it
Look us
called?
up.
Soul Ashraya.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, with Bhakta Jake out of Rochester, so that's where I'm from, Rochester, New York, upstate, you could say. And I went through a very difficult time in college. Got into drugs and all sorts of illicit activity that really ruined my interior world. And I went on a very long, arduous, confused, all over, North and South America journey to heal from that. And, so there's so many things just in the last little bit you did here that I could respond to in resonance with, like this small myopic perspective of my life, and then gradually through a lot of suffering, layers of that being shed.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of resistance to that. So my question is, actually, I didn't finish answering your question first.
It's pretty good. We got a good story. You're from
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rochester. You went through hell.
I went through hell.
You went
Yeah.
through hell. And then how did you get into
So,
bhakti?
well, I first met the Hare Krishnas in Brazil, but that's a whole different story. But then I landed in Delaware and met Nimai Das and the crew there, and he actually turned me onto the podcast. So when it really hit the fan in COVID, I took shelter of you guys, and you brought me through a lot of the darkest times of my life. So, Hare Krishna.
At your service.
Hare Bol. Yeah, it's like whenever I lost taste for bhakti, you guys would just enliven me. So, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah. So that's basically how I got to Wisdom of the Sages, Hare Krishna. And the question is, I think, related on this idea, because the theme of the suffering that I really encountered was what I've come to identify as toxic shame, right? And this idea that I'm worthless, I'm in my actual essence, I'm not valuable. And I believed that, and the deeper into that dark hole that I went into, the more convinced I became of that, and along with that, all of the dreams and aspirations of my childhood became a great source of grief for me, because there was this image of who I thought I was going to be that I then became the exact opposite of that.
Podcast is getting real deep all of a sudden.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that's kind of my nature. So, okay, so maybe we can lighten up. Okay. No.
We can go to dark places.
We like the dark.
So, this morning we heard from Vaisheshika Prabhu in the temple about the pain of Radharani and her separation, and it made me think of this very theme. What I've heard from some authorities is, one of the deeper griefs that we have is the grief of dreams that don't get fulfilled, right? Expectations we had, especially as a child, pretty much everything about our childhood, right? It's like we thought this world was paradise, and we thought our parents were going to take care of everything for us and give us all the emotional fulfillment that we needed, and none of that happened. And, so Radharani, meets Krishna and has the most deep exchange of love, and that's torn away from her. So how does she deal with that? That's the essence of my question. I wrote a whole bunch of things here, but
Getting deep.
I think that's, yeah, so.
Let me just see if I understand the question. So you're saying that there's a type of self-loathing that we experience in this world that can come about by our dreams not being fulfilled. And then we see Radharani is going through something apparently similar, and also going through some kind of deep emotional, I don't know, let's not say trauma, but like some kind of deep emotional, spiritual hurt. How do we understand these two? When we line these two up next to each other, how are they the same? How are they different?
Not exactly. how can we take shelter of her is, and particularly in this most auspicious festival, I'll add a point here that, you know, our reference point is very small, right? And the false ego, it's like we build up our whole lives, you know, this house of cards, like this has to work. You know, in my whole life, I've been operating in that way, even and particularly with spiritual life. You know, the spiritual ego that I develop, it's like, I have to be the one that knows everything and has it all figured out, and I can finally prove to the world that I'm valid, right? And that's even that is still a small reference point, whereas Radharani, her reference point is Krishna. And that's, you know, yeah. So I also was thinking in terms of Kali Yuga being the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, quarrel amongst, you know, within our own self, hypocrisy in those we want to trust, such as our, you know, authority figures and parents and podcast hosts.
This wonderful question is all over the place, but there's so many interesting things. There's so many avenues we can go down. I'm going to start with the first avenue. That struck me. It might not even answer any question that you had in there, but it's bringing out some interesting things for me I want to talk about. Has anybody ever had unfulfilled desires? Like, I'm expecting this world, and it seems like the world's going to deliver. It's at the tip of our fingers, and it doesn't happen. And it's almost like the first time the material world let you down. Can you think of that time? Can I share with you my biggest letdown? Yeah, you know, by the way.
Tell me what it was, Bubba Ganoush.
You laugh at it now. It's not funny. I wanted more than anything in the world. You know. You know what it is? Kumi knows. Kumi's knows.
No, it's called a big wheel.
Oh, no. You guys are both wrong. All right. Can I just share with you? I wanted to be the drum major of the high school marching band. And the teacher had selected me. It was a big marching band. It was like a high-step marching band. I paid the sousaphone. I went to drum major camp where I learned how to spin the mace and throw the mace and conduct. Wow. And to be the drum, it was like I was a natural born leader, and I felt like it was at the tip of my hands. He wanted me, encouraged me. And then he pulled me aside one day and said, you know what? I'm going through some emotional things in my life. I'm quitting. The year right before I was about to be a senior, he said, I'm quitting the job. There's a new director of the band. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Is that going to affect me being the drum major? He's like, well, it's really got nothing to do with me. It's up to the new guy. And the new guy wanted nothing to do with me. And I was so hurt. I was so hurt.
Let it out.
I quit band. I quit marching band. I quit orchestra. I was in the orchestra. I played violin in there. I quit it all. I just left music behind. Then I took up punk rock.
And then you were the leader of the band.
But I think it's important to understand that there is a frustration with material life. And if you look at it as frustration, if you just look at it as ups and downs, you're going to just start to weigh out your life like, yeah, I'm a loser. I didn't get that. Well, but I got this, but I'm a loser. I didn't get that. And it's a whole thing of hit or miss. And it just comes with your karma if you look at it in a more metaphysical way. But as devotees of Lord Krishna, we see that everything that we have is for our growth. And so every time something gets chopped or taken away, we see it as a blessing. In the same way as you'd chop down, we're about to chop down the berries at our house because the berries they've given their fruit, and now you've got to chop back the woody stems of all the raspberries. And what's that going to do? Well, you've just ruined it. You've chopped it. No, it's actually going to enhance its growth. It's going to enhance the fragrance of the flowers. It's going to enhance the beauty that comes in the spring. So as a devotee, all of our loss is looked at as a higher gardener is doing the director of the garden of your life, the gardener of your karma. Your karma's not there just with highs or lows, and sometimes it feels like, and we can look back probably now, thank God I got fired. Thank God he left me or she left me. Thank God my heart was broken. Because it made me dig deeper for something much better than that was there. So that's what I started going with that. Your frustration in the material world, like I wanted this. It seemed like I was going to get it. I didn't get it. And as theists, actually, because if I go back to bitterness, you should understand that's a type of atheism. You like that? How so? Because you don't understand that God is actually benevolent. That's how. And so that's how. Oh, God, I sound like the Joker when I laugh. So that was one part. And also, now, one other thing I was going to say, and this jumped out at me too, and then Kostuba can play with this. But sometimes if there is this is very common, and you know that I'm more of like a botanist than a therapist. But part-time, I learn all my botany from apps.
Really a botanist?
Well, according to a lot of apps, I'm sort of up there with higher.
More of one than a therapist.
Yeah, more than a But oftentimes, if there's some abandonment in a childhood and in these formative years of our life, then this lack of self-confidence, lack of self-worth, always trying to prove to somebody, prove to a parental figure, prove to a fatherhood figure, prove to an elder brother or elder sister or aunt or uncle, we carry that and transfer it into our adult life. That's a common thing. And so, and because that person was there never to give us that validation as a child, I'm desperately searching for that validation as an adult. Because anybody understand what I mean? Say Harry Bowl. Okay, everybody is also broken, not just me, and not just you, my friend. So in trying to connect that, no matter what I achieve, even the greatest things I achieve, it always feels like it's not enough. I just can't do it. I can't. So we carry that voice with us to relationships. We carry it with us to the workplace, and we suffer tremendously because of it. But we should understand that in bhakti, and bhakti is a tall order. You know, to associate with Krishna, we were talking about this in the car today, every seed of material desire has to be burned out of our heart. And so there's a lot of like going back and forth, like maybe this ladder is too tall to climb. Maybe this is just too much for me. Maybe I should just give it all. I'm not good at any of this anyway. This isn't for me. This isn't the real thing. I just got to settle back into my old life, which I was comfortable with. No. There always will be a tension that you can do better. And don't feel like, well, I'll never get to the top. It's always, you'll always feel that. I'll never be, even the greatest, most evolved beings never think like, I made it, I'm enlightened. No one feels like that unless they're full of it. The real, genuine sages see themselves, I'm so far. I see myself as so tiny. There's so much distance. I need to go further. That will always be there. Appreciate that tension. Don't be like, I can't get it, so I'm just going to give up on it. Never go there. Never go there. Always understand there's a tension. I can do more, and that's okay. We're going for progress, not perfection. Go for progress today, even if progress means one little inch forward. What else did you extract from what do you want? Balaram Shakti's. I don't know if that had anything to do.
Existential crisis. No. It was a fascinating what you shared. Let's start here. It's said that this material world is like a reflection. And the nature of the reflection, if viewed from the right angle, is that what's reflected is upside down. Right? Like if you're standing on one side of a lake and you're looking at something on the other side of it, when you see the reflection of it in the lake, it will appear upside down. And so what's the lowest here is kind of the highest there. And so in one sense, our lowest experiences here are the experiences of self-loathing. What Radharani is experiencing is the polar opposite. Although it may appear the same, right? Like the things in the mirror kind of appear the same, but they're actually Completely different. Yeah. That's the nature of reflections. What you look at appears the same. It's either backwards or upside down. So our feelings of self-loathing are due to ignorance of who we are. Right? If we actually understood who we are, we wouldn't feel that at all. But we have a mind that's been impressed with all kind of false ideas about who we are. We identify with the body, we identify with the mind. And because of that, we feel depression and self-loathing and fear and all the negative emotions. Now, it looks like Radharani's experiencing the same thing. She's crying, you know, and she's feeling this, oh, Krishna left. Yeah, inconsolable, Krishna left. Krishna does this every time he comes to the person that is the dearest and closest to him, right? Ram does it to Sita, right? He disappears on her. Krishna does it to Radha, right? As Sri Chaitanya, he takes sannyas and he wanders off, leaves his mother and his wife behind. Although it looks like he's insensitive, it's actually, this is what the real deep sages say, those that really have the ability to see the pastime in their mind, feel it in their heart, experience the emotions that are going on in the Leela. They say that this is his way of immersing them in the deepest feelings of love that appear externally to be pain, but are actually the greatest, deepest ecstasy. And sometimes they use, there's really no material analogy that you can use, but that works perfectly. But sometimes they use the analogy of dry ice. You know, dry ice? We don't see it in the world too much anymore, but
During our times, we
dry ice is all over the place.
Oh, dry ice! Look, it's smoking.
But yeah, this dry ice is, I think they would make ice cream with it, right? You'd have I think so.
They use it like a rock concert, you know, to make smoke come up.
But I also think they would use it to make yeah.
Put cream on it.
Yeah, or not on it necessarily, but like you churn inside a thing that had dry ice around it, something like that. But it's like this block of ice that if you touch it, you burn. Right? So it appears like it should cool, but actually you touch it, you burn.
What is it? What is dry ice? What is dry ice?
Carbon dioxide.
This guy knows.
Yeah, it's frozen carbon dioxide.
Frozen carbon dioxide.
So it supplements. It doesn't go into a liquid form. It goes right into gas.
Interesting. So that didn't help at all. Those are just some words that mean nothing. Okay. So that's the first thing. But then you mentioned something like she's got Krishna as her reference point, and we've got our mind as our reference point. And that's the problem. The nature of the material energy is that if we want to understand the nature of the world that we live in, and that includes our body and even our own mind, they're all made of material energy. And the nature of material energy is that it's up one moment and down the next. It's always shifting, always shifting, always shifting. Whatever you grab onto here, it may seem like it's something that's firm and steady that you can kind of anchor yourself to. If it's material, know for sure that it's just a matter of time. Again, we talk about time, right? It's downloaded and then it's installed. That shelter that you have, that anchor that you have will disintegrate. And so we have a fantasy. How much we experience that fantasy, that dream, that will be realized according to the merit that we've achieved in the previous life or in this life. Right? That's karma. We have a desire, and according to how much good karma merit we've accumulated in our bank account, we may experience that kind of dream. We're looking at someone else and saying, that's what I want. Right? I want to be on the stage, or I want to, whatever it is. Essentially, it's wanting to take Krishna's role. I want to be the center of the attention, the center of affection, the most famous, the wealthiest, the most powerful, those kind of, we want that position. We're trying to play it out in the virtual reality. According to our karma, we get a more powerful experience of that. And even that karma runs out. And even if we get it, it's still the illusory energy that doesn't satisfy the self. So ultimately, we have to get back to that. We have to get back to that. But we can do that by directly taking shelter of Radha. Because the idea is that Radha is, she's Krishna's energy. She's the personification of one of Krishna's energies. And that's called the technical word is Ladini Shakti, but it means it's the, she is the personification of the potency that gives the highest pleasure. And what is the highest pleasure in life? Love. So she's, in a sense, you could say she's the personification of divine love. And anyone that has divine love receives it through her. And the nature of one who's experiencing divine love is that there's no envy, there's no jealousy, and the love is so deep, like her love for Krishna is so deep that she wants him to experience more and more of the pleasure that he derives through love. So she's like, this person, this person is actually has love for you. You should connect with them. She's pulling people to Krishna. Normally in this world, we're trying to block people out, like saying, I love you more than anyone and don't forget it. And she's like, this person loves you more than I do. You need to, so therefore.
And that doesn't displace her from the big picture.
She doesn't have those kind of, because it's real love. And that's why when we go into, like, we'll go to the temple here on Watsika Avenue, you see not just Krishna, you see Krishna and Radha. Because we approach him through her. So we may struggle with all kind of mental suffering. But we have the knowledge. Not that it doesn't necessarily instantly disappear, but at least theoretically we have the knowledge that I'm experiencing something in the mind that's very different than my own nature, which is underneath. Just that knowledge right there is a tremendous boon, right? That's a tremendous boon. Now even what I suffer can now begin to work for me because it's breaking my faith that I'm going to find happiness through the body or through the material energy. And then you pray to Radha. You chant that. When we chant, what are we chanting when we chant Hare Krishna? That's Radha, Krishna, Radha, Krishna. That's our focus. That's our meditation. That's our object of focus. Is not just Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And you bring your mind there through the name, through the temple and the deity, through hearing their pastimes, through hearing their leelas, and you let her energy kind of take over.
That was a good question. Good question. Good series of questions. Balaram Shakti, give him a habro. Let's sneak. I know we're running late, but let's sneak another one in. What do you say? I tell you, I almost started losing it because. Oh, you're picking that. You know why? Because you're like, you asked this question, what is the highest pleasure? And of course it was love, but I was thinking, yeah, what is the highest pleasure? You know where my mind went to?
I don't know if I want to know where your mind went to.
Because I was actually, what is the highest pleasure? I was going, I don't know, getting gently tickled by a feather, maybe? It's like that must be pleasurable. That's immediately where my mind went. I was not thinking pure love at all. I was thinking, I guess a feather, really gently. All right. Oh, God. JC, come on down. Woo! Welcome, JC. Talk right into the microphone. Sit here.
Okay.
Where are you from? Tell us your story. Look at yourself and then talk right in the mic.
So my dad was in the military, so kind of from all over the East Coast, exclusively the East Coast. And he was in the Navy, so Maryland, Virginia, Louisiana, Rhode Island, and New Jersey. And then I first came to Bhakti Yoga when I took teacher training in 2020 at Veda Yoga. I came here and there's this beautiful woman named Kumi, and she was like, okay, so there's the spiritual world over there, and then we're over here in the material world, and there's a material heaven, and there's the middle realm, and then there's the lower planets. And then here we are on the middle planets, and we can only go over here to the spiritual planets if we start from the middle planets where we are now. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, this girl's really interesting. Like, I'm not sure I really believe this. But, like, it's super interesting to listen to. And, you know, being a straight-A student, I was just an atheist. So I was like, yeah, that's cool, but, like, I'm an atheist. So she took me to meet Tukaram Prabhu, and he convinced me otherwise pretty quickly.
You were like, your atheism was like the target of his battering ram.
Yes, that was the highest pleasure, actually.
Anyway, it was beautiful, beautiful story. And yeah, I know you. You've been around a while here, like a staple pillar here at the studio. And so what's up? How can we serve you?
So having come through Veda Yoga, I've heard people sometimes speak about mission drift in ISKCON. And so my question is, how would you respond to people that say maybe you shouldn't teach yoga asana alongside bhakti yoga?
That's a good one. I think you should teach bhakti yoga alongside with everything. I used to teach it in the punk rock scene, which was filled with a bunch of people who hated God. And you know what? It caused conversation, if not debates. People threw meat at my van when we were on tour. And I think everybody should be spoken to about spiritual life. I think it's a really thing what to do if you care about somebody. And I think people who say that may have a short-sighted vision of what it means to be human in this world. We interact with people all the time. You know, and I don't think it's a bad thing. And of course, you teach it. Yoga is part of the whole Vedic culture. Are you kidding? Yoga benefits people in so many ways, physically, emotionally, psychologically. And I think sometimes people don't always want to hear the absolute truth. They just want to feel better in their body. They want their mind to be pacified. As a teacher, yoga teacher, they want to know that you care about them too. I think it's a great way to nurture a person. As far as me, because I'm a yoga teacher too, I'm not going to give everybody, you know, the highest thing if they're not looking for it. At the same time, you know, they might just want a friend at this point in their life, and I can be that for them. And you could be that for them, but at the same time, in my heart of hearts, I know that everybody wants deep connection to source. They don't want a girlfriend. They don't want a boyfriend. They don't want a good job. They all want those things, but it's not going to give them what their heart actually wants. Because I know people with great jobs and great girlfriends and they still are missing something deeper. And so in my heart of hearts, I know that's the ultimate hand holding. It's their hand with God. And I see that in every person's face I see. So, and you can carry that with you. A devotee will carry that with them in any space. A yoga class, a jiu-jitsu class, you know. I used to teach jiu-jitsu also. I tell people about bhakti. Why not? They're there. We're bonding in a certain way. Share with them about, you know, they might not have even signed up for spiritual information. But often, if they come to a yoga class, I'll tell people all about all different things, just like Kumi did to you. Why? Because it's a yoga class, and you actually signed up for it. Especially if you sign up for a teacher training, you got to at least understand where this. You got to at least academically understand where this stuff is coming from, and the context of it. So I think in yoga, maybe more than anything. But I think it should always be given to those who, you know, are eager to learn. And, of course, due to your own purity, sincerity, personal discipline, and the way you treat yourself, and the way you treat others, that will encourage people to want to find out, like, man, what does this guy have? I want what this guy has. So a real way of sharing with other people is not even to speak, it's just to live. If you can live a spiritual life, people want to hear from you because they want to inquire, like, how do you have that?
That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to just be there for people. That's what Kumi was for me. It was 2020. It was the pandemic. I took it with Tracy, who's in the audience. So we did the first week online, and then all of a sudden we had 7 weeks that it was just structured, and it was like somewhere to be. It was, we're all in this together, what's happening? And so when I reflect, I'm just like, it's really because Kumi showed me so much friendship and love and just personal attention, and she just shined her light on me.
I think that's the mission. I think that's the mission. It didn't drift. That's the actual mission. I think institutions have to start understanding that's where it should be drifting to. You know, that's the actual mission, is to connect with people in every facet of their personal being, including their soul. Do you want to share anything?
No, I think you covered it well. I would just say it's one thing if you took the temple on Witsika Avenue and turned it into a yoga studio. Then maybe you call that mission drift, right? Like, but it'd be another thing if people go there, get inspired, and exactly as you're saying, take bhakti into whatever realm they exist in, including yoga. And yoga is like an obvious one. You know, if you want the Prabhupada said kind of thing, you know, Prabhupada had one disciple that was teaching yoga to the daughter of the Shah of Iran. And he was so pleased by it. He was just like, oh, look, he's through yoga, he's reaching, you know, important world leaders. And so he was all for it. He didn't say, no, that's mission drift. Just do it like this. So really, you know, the temple should be a temple. It should be, it should follow the Vedic standards, you know, that Prabhupada established. We should go there. We should learn things. We should learn them the right way. We should have the rituals there and practice them in the authentic way. That should all be very authentic. And we should all be so inspired by that, that we go out and take that energy and manifest it in the world in unlimited ways. And we should, you know, give people the space to do it with their own creativity, you know. And if we can do it better, then just do it better. You know, like, in other words, the real way to show is to go and do it better. So let's just let everybody do what they do and see what works. You know, that's how I see it.
You're living proof. Kumi's doing it. Did that help?
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, very much.
Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing, Prabhu. It's good to have you. That was nice. Well, we have a full day here. Full day of the Wisdom of Sages Rathayatra retreat at Veda Yoga. Here comes the music, Miss Mara. Annie? Come on, Mara. You can do this.
You know, she has her birthday. She gets all, you know, confused. She's just riding a high on the birthday thing.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody at Veda Yoga. If you're in the Southern California area, make sure you check out Veda Yoga. There's one in Culver City and one here in Beverlywood. Excited. They have a great teacher training program. Yeah, really appreciate you, Kumi, and all that you've done. Another great day. So there's going to be no show tomorrow because of the Rathayatra. Look for us on our Instagram. Yeah, go to Instagram right now and follow Wisdom of the Sages. You can do that right now. And next thing we got going is we got a Wisdom of the Sages retreat at Super Soul Farm. That's over Columbus Day weekend. If you want to come out and visit us on the East Coast, please do. It's really nice. And also our Wisdom of the Sages training in India. And that's at the second half of January at the Govardhan Ega Village with His Holiness Radharani Swami. Very special time. Is that on the website yet, Linda? It is on the website. Go to wisdomofsages.com. Thanks for listening to the podcast. It's a free podcast, but it's community supportive. So if you like what we're doing, go to wisdomofsages.com, make a monthly contribution. It's really appreciated. It keeps this boat floating. Go there, get some merch. Everybody here live. Pick up some merch right now. Bring it. Do all your Christmas presents. Even if people don't even know what Wisdom of Sages is. Said, you know what? You look like a sagacious friend. I bought you a sweatshirt for Christmas. What's all this Sanskrit writing on the sleeve? Nothing. It's just nothing here. Merry Christmas. Do all your one-stop shopping here with Wisdom of the Sages. I've given you a subscription to this website, or to this podcast. That is all. And we we got to go. We got our next classes, everybody. Thank you, everybody. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic continue to flow. Haribol!